On the desk here with me now is the great Paul Murray live,
Hello,
poll watcher extraordinaire, elbow watcher extraordinaire. Gee, he didn't get a lot of bang for our budget bucks.
Well, you say that, but he is getting a private jet. I mean, look, the polls may not be moving. There may not be any great change here, but good news. You know, you're going to get $25 a month off a power bill that's paid directly to the power companies, but the Prime Minister and the senior ministers and the Governor Generals, they're getting $400 million worth of brand new private jets.
It's like when you don't want a present, you ask someone to make a donation in your name.
Correct.
The government is making a donation to the power companies in our name.
It's well, but also, as we remarked on Budget Night, and thank you for coming on the show on Budget Night, was this does not materially change people's lives. Now, this is one of those big numbers that Treasury feels excited about. There's a big talking point that Labor gets to talk about every household, but that of course means all the mansions as well. But in reality, if cost of living is as bad as we all know it to be, then we know the needle doesn't move. What is interesting and what I do think is going to move the needle is when Peter Dutton turns around and says, no more foreign buyers for a couple of years on bidding for houses and let's pull back on immigration. Simpler, cleaner, and you'll see the results faster.
Yeah, well, news polls also measured that. People want the government. They say Labor, half of all people surveyed says the government's letting in too many people. No surprises in that. But Peter Dutton is leading the charge and he is coming up with ideas about how to implement this. And of course, it relates to cost of living. It goes directly to the cost of your housing and the infrastructure where you live.
Well, literally, report today, 45% of all ambulances in Queensland end up having to wait at a hospital, ramping, before people can get inside them. Now, that is because the infrastructure is not enough for the current number, let alone the total number that are on their way. And I just love how the government literally, surprise, surprise, wants to each way elbow on all of this, which is, this isn't working. If you cut immigration, it's terrible for the economy. Well, hang on, what did you announce in December? Oh, that's right, a cut in immigration. Yeah. The Greens, when it's Peter Dutton, it's racist. When it's Labor, nothing to see here.
You remind me, this was the worst thing, it's pathetic. Now, they can't disagree with the argument because they've admitted themselves it's too high. We need to halve it.
Correct.
So Dutton actually gets onto it and comes out with some numbers and shows how you can actually drastically reduce it. And they actually say it's up. I saw them on the ABC. What's her name? Laura Tingle.
Yeah.
This is ugly politics. It's ugly politics for the coalition to cut immigration, but it's what? Good stewardship for Labor to cut it.
Well, 100%. And there was nothing in Peter Dutton's speech, nor anything he said since, which was about where people come from, what God they believe in, whether they do all of that, right? But it just becomes a proxy. The gallery so ready to hate Dutton because they denied in part The Voice, right? They are ready to go, he's Aussie Trump, he's Aussie Trump. So if they can turn around and find ways to get there. That said, Albo is falling into a trap that many a Prime Minister has before, which is to turn around and say, look at news poll, look at news poll. Now, yes, headlines, they have not lost a news poll, right? It hasn't even, I think, gone 50-50. But if it does, well, he's created a measurement there that is going to become a problem.
I've run that grab a few times where he's boasted about not losing news poll. I hope it's his Malcolm Turnbull moment there. It's not a key performance indicator or to set for himself, and he's only just hanging on, really. He still has a situation where Labor's primary vote, as polled, is one of its lowest ever, and it's behind the coalition primary vote.
Well, again, fascinating when you start to bore yourself silly looking at all the polls, but still. Looking at all of the detail, the movement, yes, there has been movement back towards the coalition. Their numbers absolutely improving from the last election. Labor kind of back to where they were at the last election. But remember, that only got them 2 seats. The movement seems to be on the right to One Nation, where a couple of points have ticked up, and also on the left, not even to the Greens, but to the other, to sort of the teal category. Yeah. That means minority parliament. But also it means for those people who are going into the One Nation or Palmer category, are they going to do what they did in 2019, which was that 2 out of 3 preference the Libs? If so, the Libs are in a much better position. However, if they're 50-50, then we're going to get a minority government run by Teals.
Yeah, and Teals and Greens. Thank you very much. Look, now that we've sorted out the problems of the country, I've got something even more important than the politics. And that is the sausage sizzle.
Oh, please, this story.
I'm going to show you this woman here.
Who is this, Sheila?
She is with the South Melbourne District's footy club, apparently. She wants to get rid of the sausage sizzle because she's an animal rights activist. Now, you prove to me that there's any animals in a sausage to start with. But out of my cold, dead hands, are you going to take a sausage sizzle when I'm at the footy with the kids on the weekend?
Look, very simple, and just like to any toddler who's asking and asking and asking, what do you say? No. You say no. And okay, she can go and run off, and eventually, in 3 years' time, they'll take over the local footy club and they'll pass a motion. Good luck. Till then, no.
Sheena, if you don't want a sausage, don't have a sausage.
You don't have to have one.
Imagine election day without them as well.
Disgraceful.
Yeah,
one of the worst things I hate about people who vote early. Don't vote early because you don't get the sausage. And a third of people vote early. Or we could just sausage sizzle for 6 months a year.
Well, the animal rights activists can pre-poll. The rest of us will turn up for the sausages on polling day.